Hey class, this is now the final lesson that I have for Introduction to Functions. Is day 6. So let's get right into it. So today we'll use equations to determine specific x and y values on a line. So there's going to be variations of some stuff over here. So just remember, so number 1, if 4y is a solution to the equation y equals negative x plus 3, determine the value of y. And we know that it's just going to be x, y like that. So all we're going to be doing is just substituting these values in this equation. So it's going to be y equals x is 4, so negative 4 plus 3. And this is the same thing as saying y equals 3 minus 4. And if you're just not sure about this, because we haven't gone over adding and subtracting positive negatives, we're going to be doing that soon. You can just look at it as a number line, thinking that it starts at 3 and it goes 4 in the negative direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be 2, 1, 0, negative 1. So y equals negative 1. Number 2, this is going to be x, y. So it's going to be 10 equals 3x minus 2. And I haven't gone over too much. I did a lesson on it, but I haven't gone over two-step equations too much. And the best way to think about two-step equations, identify the side with the variable. And when you're evaluating, so it's going to be this side over here. We're looking at the right side over here. And when you're evaluating 3x minus 2, if you were substituting a number for x, what would you be doing first? Are you multiplying the 3 or are you subtracting the 2? You'd be multiplying the 3 first, and then you'd be subtracting the 2. So when you are solving equations, you're going backwards of that in order. So you'd be adding 2 to both sides. And that leaves you 12 is equal to 3x. Whoops, I picked pink. And then you just divide 3, and you get x equals 4. I just rearranged it. And you can always check by plugging it back in to see if you get 10 when you plug it back in. So 3 times 4 is 12 minus 2 is 10. So this makes sense. Number 3. So this again, x, y. So y equals negative 1 over 4. Whoops, not y equals. It's going to be negative 4 equals negative 1 over 4 x plus 3. And remember what I just talked about over here, up here. What are you doing first? Are you going to be multiplying the negative 1/4 x, or are you going to be adding 3 when you're evaluating? You're going to be multiplying first and then adding, so you're doing them backwards in solving equations. So subtract 3 from both sides. So you're going to have negative 7 equals negative 1/4 x. That means you're multiplying by negative. And once again, we're at a place where you really haven't done multiplying positive and negatives, and it's okay if you don't get it. So when you're multiplying positive and negatives, just think of this. This is a good chart to know. Trying to just create this kind of tic-tac-toe board chart where you just do pluses going like this. So when you're doing, this is just saying multiplying a positive times a negative gives you negative, negative times a positive gives you negative, and negative times a negative gives you positive. And this only works for multiplying and dividing, pretty much two numbers. So negative times a negative is positive. So you're going to get 28 here is equal to x. And you could always check this. And if you're confused about the positive and negatives, maybe you should hold off on this lesson until we actually go over multiplying positive and negatives in a few weeks. We're covering it in regular class. So now again, let's do the next problem. This is x, this is y. So it's going to be 4x minus 5 times negative 4 equals 8. So for x, Again, negative 5 times negative 4. Remember, this minus goes with the 5. Negative times a negative is positive, so it's going to be plus 20 equals 8. Subtract 20 from both sides. So you're going to get 4x is equal to negative 12. Divide by 4. And you get x equals negative 3. And what makes these a little bit harder is the fact that you're dealing with positive and negatives. As always. And as I said, if you're super confused on the adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing of positive and negatives, this is something that you may want to hold off until we come back to it in the future. Number 5, determine the range of the function f of x equals 3x minus y. Okay, so f of x is function notation. This is basically saying this is a function. We know it's a function. And all this means is it's another way of kind of figuring out a way to evaluate. And it really goes into, when you go into Algebra 2 and pre-calculus and above, function notation actually has a deeper meaning. So we're just going to do, these are our x values. We're just going to be evaluating this with these three numbers. So we're going to do f of negative 4, f of 2, and f of 9. And you're going to see what I mean by that, okay? So f of negative 4 just means that you're replacing x with negative 4. Wherever you see x, you're just going to replace it with negative 4. So it's going to be 3 times negative 4 minus 5. Which is 3 times negative 4 is negative 12 minus 5. And negative 12 minus 5 is negative 17. 3 times 2 now, minus 5. 3 times 2 is 6, minus 5, 1. 3 times 9 minus 5, so it's going to be 27 minus 5 is 22. So your range is negative 17, 1, and 22. When the domain is negative 4, 2, and 9. And if you like, try to pause this one and see if you can do number 6. But I'm going to continue myself, all right? So f of negative 4, f of negative 3, and f of negative 1. So this is going to be negative 4 squared minus 8. Negative 4 squared is negative 4 times negative 4, and that's 16 minus 8, which is 8. Negative 3 squared is 9 minus 8, and that is 1. Negative 1 squared is 1 minus 8, which is negative 7. So your range is 8, 1, and negative 7. And again, this is a good time if you want. I'm going to pause the video right now and complete these two problems, and I want you to do it and see if you get the same answer. Whoops. Actually, go backwards. If you read this, to determine the domain of the function when f of x equals 2x plus 1. So you're kind of doing it backwards. Maybe don't pause it. So this time we're giving you the range. That means you're actually substituting. This is your y now. Okay? So when we're just going to do it 3 times in a row. So negative 3 is equal to 2x plus 1. And you're just going to have to solve this time, so I'm not going to rewrite it horizontally. And that gives you negative 4 equals 2x. Divide by 2. And negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2 equals x. So that's one of them. 9 equals 2x plus 1. So you're going to be subtracting 1 from both sides. So 8 equals 2x. Divide 2. So 4 is equal to x. And last, 15 is equal to 2x plus 1. And if you notice, you're kind of doing the same steps for solving over and over again. Just the values are going to be different. So 14 is equal to 2x divided by 2. And 7 is equal to x. So now your domain is -2, 4, and 7. And last problem. Same idea. This is your y. So it's going to be 5 is equal to 4x plus 9. Subtract 9. So -4 is equal to 4x. Divide by 4. X equals -1. And this time, I actually want you to pause the video and see if you can get the right results for 21 and 33. Welcome back, and these are the answers for when the range is 21, you get x is 3, and then when the range is 33, you get x is 6. I hope you understand a little bit about function notation and identifying domain and range with an equation. Bye, guys.